Hello, so today I will be doing my book discussion over this book called Same Same But Different. And I really like this book because I'll get to that later when it's about how American society has influenced the children's books. But basically, the first boy, his name is Elliot, and then the second boy is named Kailash. And Elliot decides, his teacher is like, oh, make pictures and stuff like that. So he decided to make a picture of what his world looked like, and his teacher decided to mail it across the globe and everything. So this one boy saw it, and he decided to draw him back, and that's Kailash. And he was like, oh, let me mail, like, he thought it was really cool to see what Elliot's world looked like. So he was like, oh, that's really cool. He was like, I want to show him what my world looks like because it looks a lot different, but it's the same because we're in the same world. So he decides to send that back to Elliot, and basically the two start to talk with each other and basically talk about different things that are the same but different in a way, because, like, for example, Elliot lives in like a city, a huge city, and lives with like you know what I mean, like a city. He just lives in a city, and in the book he says like, oh, like the sun is covered up by like all these big buildings and stuff and skyscrapers. And then Kailash is like, oh, well, like where I am from, he's like, it's basically like just an open area. The sun is like burning hot on us. He was like, it gets really hot. He was like, but the sun is open and like you can see everything, and there's not a lot of big buildings. It's kind of just like an open area where he lives, but like people still live there, if you know what I mean. But basically they just like start talking about where they're from and stuff, and like how their world is and how it's different but the same from each other. But like the theme of the book is like really just like it's basically trying to explain to kids that basically everybody in the world is the same but has different interpretations of what their world is, type of thing. Like, sure, you may do this, like let's say you do, like in the book they did art, and Elliot was like, oh, I do art because I can like be anything I want. And then Kailash responds with like, oh, well, I do yoga because I can be anything I want. So basically they're just saying that even though it's two different things that they're doing, they both still can find the same like interest in what they did, even though the two activities were different. Like, it's kind of like when you do, like, I'm in soccer and my boyfriend does gaming. He doesn't do any sports. So like I enjoy soccer because it helps me like get my energy out, my stress out, like anything that, like, it just helps me relax, and it's just like really fun to me. And my boyfriend also finds gaming really fun, and it's like a stress reliever for him, and he just has a good time like while he's doing it. But even though it's two different things, you still can find the same like enjoyment, and that's what I feel like they were trying to teach throughout the book. But with just like different activities, like, oh, like also like with a different country, because I don't know exactly where Kailash is from, and I think Elliot's from America, but I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure. But basically Elliot is like saying, because he's like English, like he speaks English, and he's saying like, oh, this is my alphabet, and he showed him like how it's like ABCDEFG. And then Kailash, I don't know exactly what language it was, but it was a different language from English, and like, oh, this is like how our alphabet is and how our language is. And he's like, it's just very different from each other. And it's like, but still we're both like, even though it's like different from each other, they both still talk about it's still the same thing, because it's his language but it's different from our language, but our language is still, it's different from Kailash's, but he's just like, but we're still like talking and being able to talk and like hold conversations and like just speak to each other, even though we don't speak the same language, but like you're still talking, if that makes sense. But all right, my video cut out. But basically, same but different is in first person point of view, because Elliot and Kailash are just talking to each other and talking about what they like to do, but and then like basically they're just saying like what they like to do but through different things and how they interpret their world and stuff like that. But the reason why I really like this book is because it like shows kids, like if they haven't been to like a different country before, like a different state, or just like been around the world in general, or like haven't really learned about that much yet, I feel like it's a good book to show that like there's people who live in like a different world than you do, but it's like, oh, this person can be living this life, and it's like it's cool to see it like from different people's like perspective. Like you're like, oh well, that's how they see their world, or like, oh, that's how they live, or oh, like this is how they like what their culture is. And like I like it because it just shows like the different cultures and like the different settings and like the different languages and stuff. I just really like it because it just shows like the different like countries around the world and how different we are, but also the same in ways. Because like how I was saying earlier, how they talk like and how they greet each other, like you're still greeting each other, but it can be in a different way. Like how Elliot was like giving him like a handshake or whatever, and how Kailash was like, oh, we like greet people too, but he was like, but we say like namaste, and like they bow to each other. And so it's just really cool to see, and I think it's like a good like I think kids should read these types of books more, because it shows like just different, like a whole new world and like a whole different perspective of like what it is to live in like different countries and stuff like that, and just learning about their different cultures and how they are in that country. But all right, and lastly, I will talk to you about how the changes in American society have influenced the themes of children's books. And I would say American society has like changed a lot, like every single generation, every year, type of thing. But like when I was younger, there'd be like when I was younger, I would read like there'd be a lot of like books that would just, I would say like more of like, you wouldn't see like really like a lot of colored people in like books that I would read. Like it would just mostly like be Caucasian. I don't know, it's because we live in America or something, but I feel like America is also very diverse and have different races and stuff. But I would see a lot of that, and nowadays I feel like it's more like it has more of like children's books involves like different races and like different cultures, and I think that's a good thing to show like kids nowadays, because like when I was a kid, I feel like it wasn't that big of a trend really to show the different races. I didn't really like think of it as a problem or anything, because I was a kid. I was just like and I wasn't ever like, I didn't think much of it when I was a kid. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, why isn't there anybody who like looks like me or anything? But because like there'd be a few books out there like that, but I feel like it wasn't as big when I was a kid. And now I feel like since American society has like changed a lot, and like, well, kids need to know like they don't need to be left out. Like you can't just generalize that America is just like all Caucasian and all that, and it's like they just need to make sure that like kids know that it's not just that. Like make it realistic, like make it to where you're not like putting other races like to the side and just like, oh, this is it, it's just that. And it's like, well, no, it's not, because then you're also teaching the kids wrong, and you're also teaching because you're not only teaching the kids wrong, but you're also teaching the like if a kid reads something about America, they're just gonna see America as that. They're not gonna see it as anything else, because it's just generalized with all Caucasian people, but it's not. So but like, yeah, but like just from just like how things have changed, like even with like not even just like books, but like things in like general, like there's like this one thing with Barbies, like how they were like, oh well, why are all Barbies like thin, and why are there like no colored Barbies and stuff like that. It's kind of like that in a way, because it was just like, oh, you're right, like we need to add, like we need to be like more real about this, like it's not just, there isn't just like white people out there, and like it isn't just like no colored people out there, or like, oh, there's no other race, or like not everybody is gonna have the same like no one, everybody has a different like skin, and not skin well yes, but not everybody has like the same body type, not everybody has the same height, not everybody is like has the same, like everybody comes in different shapes and sizes. But yeah, I feel like it's really just like it's changed a lot, like where I feel like it's more like real nowadays, and like it's not as like sugar coated, like books in general, like if something bad happened you can't just sugarcoat it, you know, type thing. But I feel like nowadays it's just like a lot different, and like we need to make sure that we like bring out the differences in everybody, and make sure that like you know, like that everybody knows, and like especially kids, so that they grow up knowing that everybody's different but same in a way. But yeah, and that is my book discussion.